Hello and welcome to History for Dreaming. When you think of Pompeii, you likely imagine the haunting plaster casts of victims frozen in their final moments, the ash-covered ruins, the city preserved by catastrophe. But on August 23rd, 79 AD, Pompeii was not a ruin at all. It was a thriving Roman city of 20,000 souls, bustling with commerce and conversation, filled with the smell of fresh bread and the sound of children playing. The mountain that loomed over the bay was simply part of the landscape, its slopes covered in vineyards producing famous wine. No one called it Vesuvius the Destroyer. It was simply the mountain. And on this particular day, the day before everything ended, life in Pompeii was utterly, beautifully, tragically ordinary. Tonight you will not observe Pompeii from a distance. You will live in it. You will wake in a Roman home on the morning of August 23rd. You will walk streets that will be buried by tomorrow. You will speak with neighbours who have one day left to live. You will taste wine, smell garum fermenting in workshops, feel the heat of the bathhouse steam. You will experience a single day in ancient Rome, knowing what no Pompeian knew, that this ordinary day is their last. What was it like to live those final hours in perfect ignorance? To go about your business, make plans for tomorrow, argue about politics, all while the mountain prepared to erase everything? Tonight, you will become a resident of Pompeii. You will wake in the pre-dawn darkness of a Roman household. You will navigate the city's streets, visit its forum, conduct business. You will attend the public baths, share a meal, and fall asleep beneath the stars, with no idea that you will never wake in this city again. But before we step into the past, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and I'm deeply grateful. I'm always curious to know where in the world you are as you listen tonight. Now close your eyes, let the modern world fade away. When you open them again, you will find yourself in Pompeii in the year 79 AD, on the last normal day this city will ever know. You open your eyes in darkness. The small room is silent, except for the sound of your own breathing. Then gradually, a warm glow appears. Your slave, Davis, has entered quietly and is lighting the oil lamp that hangs near your bed. The flame catches, flickers, steadies. Soft light fills the cubiculum, your sleeping chamber, revealing plastered walls painted a deep red, the colour that will one day be called Pompeian red, though you simply know it as the fashionable shade for interior walls. The lamp oil has a distinctive smell, slightly acrid, mixed with the lingering scent of the perfumed oil you rubbed into your hair before sleeping. Through the small window high on the wall, you can see that the sky is still dark, but there is the faintest suggestion of grey on the eastern horizon. Dawn is approaching. From somewhere in the city, a rooster crows, then another answers. Pompeii is beginning to wake. You are a merchant of moderate success and respectability. Your business is wine and garum, that fermented fish sauce that Romans cannot live without, that flavours nearly every dish, that flows across the empire in sealed amphorae bearing your family's mark. You are not wealthy enough to be counted among the city's leading families, not poor enough to live in the cramped upper floors of an insula. You occupy that comfortable middle ground, a freed-born citizen with slaves of your own, a house respectable, if not grand, connections to patrons who can help your business flourish. Davis bows slightly and withdraws, leaving you to rise. The August heat has not yet built, but even at this hour you can feel warmth in the air. Summer in Pompeii means hot days, warm nights, the constant presence of the sun. You swing your legs out of bed. The floor is cool tile beneath your feet. You stand, stretch, muscles stiff from sleep, and reach for the simple tunic folded on a wooden chest near your bed. Your home is built in the traditional Roman fashion around a central atrium. From your cubiculum, you walk into this open space, the heart of the house. Above you, the compluvium, The rectangular opening in the roof reveals the sky growing lighter. Below it, the impluvium, a shallow pool built into the floor, catches rainwater. The pool is empty now, after weeks without rain, showing its mosaic bottom, a simple geometric pattern of black and white stones. Around the atrium, other cubicular open for your wife, your 2 children, your slaves. The house is stirring but still quiet. In one corner of the atrium stands your lararium, the household shrine. It is a small painted niche in the wall, showing the layers, the protective spirits of your home, flanking a figure representing your family's genius, its guiding spirit. Below the paintings, a small shelf holds offerings. You approach, pour a few drops of wine from a cup left there the night before, and speak a brief prayer. The words are routine, spoken every morning for as long as you can remember. You ask the gods to protect your household, to bless your business, to grant you and your family health and prosperity. The gods are everywhere in Roman life, woven into the fabric of each day. To neglect them would be unthinkable. Your wife appears from her cubiculum, already dressed, her hair pinned up in the elaborate style that marks a respectable, married woman. She nods to you, speaks quietly about the day's household tasks. There is bread to be bought, the midday meal to prepare, the children to supervise. She is the manager of the domestic sphere, while you handle the business of commerce and politics beyond the door. This division is natural, unquestioned, the way things have always been done. A slave brings water in a bronze basin for you to wash. The water is cool, drawn from the public fountain at the corner of your street before dawn. You splash your face, rinse your hands, feel the pleasant shock of cold water on warm skin. Another slave approaches with bread left from yesterday's purchase, a small bowl of olives, some cheese made from sheep's milk, and a cup of wine already mixed with water in the proper proportion. This is your morning meal, taken standing in the atrium as the household comes fully to life around you. The bread is dense and slightly sour, the way Roman bread tastes when made with the natural yeasts in the air rather than carefully cultured starters. You dip it in the watered wine to soften it, then bite down. The cheese is salty and sharp. The olives have been preserved in brine and taste of the sea. You add a few drops of garum from a small flask, that ubiquitous sauce made from fermented fish and salt. The taste is intensely savoury, salty and rich, with an almost meaty quality despite coming from fish. To Roman palates, it is perfection. Your own family's workshops produce some of the finest garum in Campania, shipped across the empire in sealed amphorae that bear your mark. Your children emerge, your son of 10 years and your daughter of 8. They are dressed, and their own slave attendants are with them. The boy will spend his morning with a tutor, learning to read and write Latin and Greek, studying rhetoric and mathematics. The girl will stay with her mother, learning the skills she will need to manage her own household when she marries in a few years. You ruffle your son's hair affectionately, receive his formal morning greeting. Your daughter curtsies prettily, and you feel a brief surge of pride. These children are your future, the continuation of your family line, the inheritors of the business you're building. The atrium is growing lighter now. Through the compluvium, the sky has turned from grey to pale blue. The heat of the day is beginning to build. You make your way to the small garden at the back of the house, the peristyle, a colonnaded courtyard planted with herbs and flowers. A small fountain in the centre, fed by lead pipes connected to the city's water system, trickles pleasantly. The sound of running water is one of the small luxuries that marks your household as prosperous. You stand in the garden and look up, beyond the terracotta roof tiles of your house, beyond the similar roofs of your neighbours' homes, beyond the city walls. Mount Vesuvius rises against the morning sky. The mountain is familiar, a constant presence. Its slopes are green with cultivation, covered in vineyards and farms. The wine produced on those volcanic soils is famous, rich and strong. Some of it passes through your own hands, sold alongside your garum to buyers across Campania and beyond. The mountain is beautiful in the morning light, peaceful and eternal, as much a part of the landscape as the Bay of Naples that glimmers to the west. There is no reason to think today will be anything but ordinary, no reason to suspect that the mountain is anything other than what it appears. The Greeks have a name for it, Vesuvius, though the word's meaning has been lost. It is simply the mountain, giver of rich soil, backdrop to the city, unchanging and permanent. You have lived your entire life in its shadow. Your father lived in its shadow, his father before him. The mountain sleeps. It has always slept. You turn back toward the house. There is business to attend to. You have a meeting at the Forum this morning with another merchant, a potential buyer for a large shipment of your best garum. This afternoon, you plan to visit your family's workshop outside the city walls to check on production. Tonight, you're invited to dine with Marcus Lucretius, one of your patrons, a man of wealth and influence whose goodwill helps your business flourish. Tomorrow you have tickets to the gladiatorial games at the amphitheatre, games that were banned for 10 years after the famous riots between Pompeians and the people of New Syria in 59 AD, but have recently resumed. You are looking forward to it. The future stretches before you, full of plans and possibilities. You call for Davis to bring your toga. For business at the Forum, you will wear the formal toga of a Roman citizen, that elaborate semicircular cloth that must be draped just so to hang properly. It takes skill to arrange, and you stand patiently while your slave works the heavy wool fabric over your tunic, folding and draping until the effect is correct. The toga is hot and cumbersome, but it is the mark of citizenship, the garment that distinguishes a free Roman from slaves and foreigners. You wear it with pride. The household is fully awake now. Slaves are sweeping the atrium, drawing more water, beginning the day's tasks. Your wife is giving instructions for the midday meal. The children are settling into their morning routines. Everything is as it should be, orderly and familiar, the comfortable pattern of daily life. You step toward the front door, heavy wood bound with bronze that opens directly from your atrium onto the street. You push open the door and step out onto the Via dell'Abbondanza, the Street of Abundance, one of Pompeii's main thoroughfares. The morning sun hits you immediately, already warm despite the early hour. The street is paved with large blocks of dark volcanic stone, worn smooth by countless feet and cartwheels. Every few meters, there are raised stepping stones, allowing pedestrians to cross without stepping into the street itself, which serves as a drainage channel for rain and other less pleasant liquids. The street is already busy. Slaves hurry past carrying amphorae of wine or oil, baskets of bread, bundles of cloth. A cart rattles by, its wooden wheels loud on the stone pavement. The driver curses his mule in a mixture of Latin and what sounds like Oscan, the old language of Campania that still lingers in the mouths of the working classes. A woman leans from a second-story window of an insula across the street, shaking out a cloth and calling down to someone below. The smells of the city surround you. Fresh bread from the bakery, 2 doors down, where slaves are already at work grinding grain in the large millstones, turned by donkeys, walking in endless circles. The sharp, unpleasant smell of a fullery, where cloth is being cleaned in vats of stale urine. The ammonia used to process wool. The salty, pungent aroma of garum from a workshop somewhere nearby. Smoke from cooking fires. The less pleasant odours of human waste and garbage in the street. Pompeii smells like life, like commerce, like 20,000 people living closely together in the Italian summer. The walls on either side of the street are covered in writing. Political slogans painted in red or black letters proclaim the virtues of various candidates for local office. The fruiters recommend Marcus Hulconius Priscus for Duumvir. Vote for Lucius Papidius Secundus, a man of proven worth. There are other messages too, less formal, scratched into the plaster by passers-by. Declarations of love, insults, crude drawings, advertisements for upcoming games at the amphitheatre. Pompeii's walls are a conversation, a public bulletin board, a place where anyone with a stylus or a piece of charcoal can leave their mark. You begin walking toward the Forum, navigating the familiar streets. You pass a thermopolium, one of the many food shops that sell prepared meals to those without kitchens or time to cook. The counter is already open to the street, and you can see the large clay vessels set into it, holding stewed vegetables, grain porridge, pieces of meat in sauce. Steam rises from the hot food. A slave is buying something for his master's household, coins changing hands. You know these streets intimately. Every corner, every shop, every house is familiar. This is your city, your world. Pompeii is not large by the standards of the empire. Rome itself holds 1 million people, a vast metropolis that you have visited twice and found overwhelming. But Pompeii is home. It is a prosperous port serving the rich agricultural region of Campania, a city of merchants and traders, of freedmen who have made good, of old families maintaining their dignity, of slaves and sailors and craftsmen all crowded together in this fertile corner of Italy. The morning is beautiful. The sky is brilliantly blue, unmarred by clouds. The heat is building, but not yet oppressive. You can see the Bay of Naples glittering in the distance beyond the city walls, its waters reflecting the sunlight. Fishing boats are already out, small dark shapes against the blue. On the far side of the bay, you can make out the shapes of other cities, other ports, other communities going about their morning business. Everything is normal. Everything is as it always has been. You are a merchant on your way to a business meeting, a father with a family to support, a citizen with duties and responsibilities and hopes for the future. You have no way of knowing that this walk to the Forum is one of the last times you will see these streets intact. No way of knowing that the very ordinariness of this morning will make it precious beyond measure. You are simply living your life in the city you love, beneath the mountain that has watched over Pompeii for countless generations. The Forum awaits. Business calls. You quicken your pace, joining the flow of morning traffic. One person among thousands, all of you moving through the last normal day Pompeii will ever see. The Via dell'Abbondanza leads you steadily toward the heart of the city. You pass more shops opening for the day. A potter arranging his wares on wooden shelves. A metalworker already at his forge, the heat from his fire adding to the morning warmth. 2 women standing in a doorway, speaking rapidly in Greek, one of the many languages you hear on Pompeii's streets. Alongside Latin and Oscan, the city has always been a mixing place, cultures and tongues flowing together like the trade goods that pass through its ports. Ahead of you, you see election graffiti freshly painted on a wall. Perpidius Secundus for Aidal. The letters are red, still bright, probably painted within the last few days. The idols are responsible for maintaining the city's infrastructure, organising games, keeping the markets honest. The election will be held next month, and already the walls are filling with endorsements. The goldsmiths recommend Gaius Cuspius Pansa. Vote for Brutius Balbus, a man who will guard the public funds. Politics in Pompeii is a constant background noise, as much a part of city life as the fountains and the markets. You turn a corner and nearly collide with a slave carrying an enormous amphora on his shoulder. He grunts an apology and continues on his way. The heavy clay vessel, probably full of wine or oil, destined for some merchant's storeroom. You watch him navigate the stepping stones across the street with practiced ease, balancing his burden as he goes. The entire city runs on the labour of slaves. They are everywhere, carrying, cleaning, building, serving. You own 3 yourself, a modest number for a household of your status. Some of the wealthy families own dozens. The street opens up, and suddenly you're at the Forum. The great open square that forms the civic and commercial heart of Pompeii spreads before you, surrounded on three sides by covered porticos with columns, and on the fourth side, the north, by the massive temple of Jupiter. The temple was damaged in the earthquake 17 years ago, in 62 AD, and has been under reconstruction ever since. You were just a young man then, newly married, and you remember the terror of that day, the ground shaking, buildings collapsing, people screaming in the streets. Many died, much was destroyed. But Pompeii rebuilt. The city has weathered disasters before. The forum is already crowded. Merchants cluster in small groups, discussing prices and shipments. Lawyers in their togas stand near the basilica, that large building on the south side of the forum where legal cases are heard and business is conducted. Priests make their way toward the temples. Politicians glad-hand citizens, asking for support in the coming elections. A group of young men, sons of wealthy families, lounge near one of the columns, laughing at some private joke. Slaves weave through the crowd, running errands for their masters. You make your way across the forum toward the basilica, where you have arranged to meet Quintus Britius, a merchant from Neapolis who's interested in purchasing a large quantity of your premium garum. The portico provides some shade from the sun, which is climbing higher now and beginning to beat down with real force. You see Quintus waiting near the entrance to the basilica, and you raise your hand in greeting. He returns the gesture and walks to meet you. The negotiations are conducted in the formal Latin of business. Quintus admires your family's reputation for quality. You modestly acknowledge the compliment while internally feeling pleased. He mentions a price. You counter with a slightly higher figure, noting the exceptional quality of this particular batch, aged for 6 months in sealed containers, the flavour concentrated and pure. He considers, strokes his chin, finally nods agreement. You will send 10 large amphorae to his warehouse in Neapolis next week. Payment will be made on delivery, half in silver denarii, half in trade goods, grain and olive oil that you can resell here in Pompeii. You clasp hands to seal the agreement. A scribe is summoned, a freedman who sits in the basilica making his living recording transactions on wax tablets. He notes the terms of your agreement with his stylus, scratching the letters into the soft wax. Both you and Quintus press your seal rings into the wax at the bottom, making it official. The scribe will keep the record for 30 days in case of dispute. Business concluded, you and Quintus exchange pleasantries. He asks after your family. You inquire about his voyage across the bay. The weather has been good, the seas calm. Tomorrow he returns to Neapolis. You wish him safe travels. With the morning's primary business complete, you have time to wander the forum, to see and be seen, to participate in the social and political life of the city. You walk slowly along the eastern portico, nodding to acquaintances. Near the Temple of Apollo, which stands to the west of the forum, you encounter Gaius Sextius, a fuller whose workshop processes cloth for half the city. He hails you cheerfully, asks if you've decided whom to support in the Aedile elections. You mention Papidius Secundus, a solid man with good judgment. Gaius nods approval. His guild, the Fullers, is endorsing the same candidate. You discuss the state of the city's roads, still not fully repaired from earthquake damage, despite years of work. The conversation turns to Emperor. Titus, the old Emperor Vespasian, died just 2 months ago, in June, and his son Titus has taken the purple. Opinion is divided on the new emperor. Vespasian was a soldier, practical and competent, if not glamorous. Titus is younger, less proven. But he seems capable, and there is hope that his reign will be prosperous. The empire is vast and complex, and Pompeii is a small part of it, but imperial politics still matter. A good emperor means stable trade, reasonable taxes, peace on the frontiers. A bad emperor means the opposite. You excuse yourself from Gaius and continue your circuit of the forum. You pass the Macellum, the large covered market building on the northeast side of the square. The smell hits you before you reach it, a powerful mixture of fish, meat, and vegetables. The Macellum is where Pompeii's food supply is sold, where ships bringing goods from across the Mediterranean unload their cargoes to be distributed to the city's households. You step inside. The building is large and open with a circular structure in the centre that might have been a fountain once but now serves as a fish market. Marble counters are covered with the morning's catch, brought in from the bay just hours ago. You see octopus, their tentacles still moving slightly, mullet and sea bass laid out on beds of seaweed, shellfish in baskets. The fishmongers call their prices, competing for customers. Slaves prod the fish, checking freshness, negotiating on behalf of households across the city. Beyond the fish market, you find stalls selling meat. A butcher is breaking down a pig carcass with her practiced efficiency, his cleaver thunking into the wooden block. Blood pools on the marble counter, flies buzz in the heat. Other stalls offer lamb, beef, game birds. The variety is impressive. Pompeii may not be Rome, but it eats well, fed by the rich agriculture of Campania and the bounty of the sea. You pause at a vegetable stall. Late summer is the season of plenty. There are onions and garlic, leeks and cucumbers, fresh figs and grapes from the slopes of Vesuvius. Amphorae hold olive oil pressed from groves along the coast. Smaller vessels contain garum of varying qualities, though none as fine as what your own workshops produce. You select some items for tonight's dinner party. The slave accompanying you, Darvus, adds them to the basket he carries. As you turn to leave the Macellum, you nearly walk into a familiar figure. It is Marcus Lucretius himself, your patron, the very man at whose house you will dine tonight. He is a decade older than you, from a family that has been prominent in Pompeii for generations. His toga is of the finest white wool, his bearing aristocratic but not unkind. He greets you warmly, places a hand on your shoulder. You exchange the proper courtesies. He mentions that he looks forward to seeing you this evening. You express your gratitude for the invitation. He asks about your business and you tell him about the successful negotiation with Quintus Britius. He nods approvingly, clearly pleased that his client is doing well. A patron's status is reflected in the success of his clients. Marcus mentions that there will be 9 at dinner tonight, a proper number for a Roman triclinium. You recognise some of the other names he lists. All are men of business or modest wealth, part of the network of relationships that makes Pompeii function. Dinner will be more than a meal. It will be an opportunity to strengthen bonds, to discuss politics and business, to participate in the patron-client system that structures so much of Roman society. You part ways and Marcus continues his morning round of the forum. You watch him go, feeling fortunate to have such a connection. Without patrons, success in business is much harder. With them, doors open, introductions are made, opportunities appear. The system has ancient roots, and it works because both parties benefit. The patron gains status and loyal supporters. The client gains access and protection. It is how Rome has always organised itself, from the greatest senator in the capital to the humblest merchant in a provincial city. You make your way out of the forum, walking along its southern side past the municipal buildings where the Duumviri and aediles conduct the city's official business. 2 men are arguing near the entrance to one of these buildings, their voices raised in the characteristic rhythm of a legal dispute. Their lawyer stands between them, trying to calm the situation and get them to agree to mediation rather than a formal trial. You pass by, not wanting to become involved in someone else's problems. The sun is high now, approaching midday. The heat is intense, shimmering off the paving stones. Your toga feels heavy and hot, sweat gathering beneath the wool, despite the lightness of the tunic underneath. You think about the afternoon ahead. You should visit the garum workshop to check on production, but first the civilized thing to do, The Roman thing to do is to visit the baths. The Stabian baths are not far from here, and the heat of the day makes the prospect of a cool plunge particularly appealing. Everyone goes to the baths. It is where business is conducted, gossip shared, friendships maintained. The baths are as central to Roman life as the Forum itself, perhaps more so. A city without baths is barely civilized. Pompeii has 3 major bath complexes, and the Stabian baths are the oldest and most respected, patronized by citizens of standing. You adjust your toga and head in that direction, already anticipating the relief of cold water after the morning's heat. As you walk, you pass the amphitheatre in the distance, visible beyond the city walls to the east. The great oval structure can hold 20,000 people, the entire population of Pompeii. In 2 days there will be games. You have secured tickets, good seats in the section reserved for citizens of your class. There will be gladiators, exotic beasts brought from Africa, condemned criminals facing wild animals. The thought excites you. The games are one of life's great spectacles, a chance to see courage and death, to be part of the roaring crowd, to feel alive. But that is the day after tomorrow. Today there is business to conduct, the baths to visit, a dinner party to attend. Life is good. Business is prosperous. Your family is healthy. The city thrives around you. You walk through streets you have known all your life, under skies brilliantly blue, past neighbours and friends and the familiar landmarks of home. The bathhouse awaits. Everyone goes to the baths. The Stabian baths occupy a full block in the centre of Pompeii, a magnificent complex of rooms and courtyards that has served the city for over 2 centuries. As you approach, you can already hear the sounds that define a Roman bathhouse: voices echoing, water splashing, the occasional shout of laughter. The entrance is modest, a simple doorway that gives no hint of the elaborate interior beyond. You pay the small entrance fee to the attendant, a few bronze aces, the price that makes the baths accessible to nearly all citizens, while also providing revenue for their maintenance. The baths are divided into separate sections for men and women, and you make your way toward the men's entrance. Already, you can feel anticipation building. The baths are not merely about getting clean, though that is certainly part of their purpose. They are about participating in Roman civilization, about being part of a ritual that connects you to every other Roman across the empire. From Britain to Syria, from Spain to Egypt, Romans bathe. It is what makes us Roman. You enter the apoditerium, the changing room. It is a long vaulted chamber with niches cut into the walls where bathers can leave their clothing. The room is already occupied by several other men in various stages of undress. You recognize some faces, nod greetings. A slave sits on a stool in the corner, hired to watch the niches and prevent theft. Though theft still happen despite such precautions, you instruct Darvus to guard your toga and tunic while you bathe. He will wait here, as slaves do, while you enjoy the facilities restricted to free men. You undress, folding your toga carefully, placing it in one of the niches, along with your tunic and sandals. The Romans bathe nude, another custom that distinguishes civilized people from barbarians who are said to be ashamed of their bodies. Standing naked in the changing room, you reach for the small bronze flask of oil that Darvus hands you, along with the strigil, the curved metal scraper used to remove oil, sweat and dirt from the skin. Before bathing, it is customary to exercise, to work up a proper sweat. You make your way to the palaestra, the large open courtyard that serves as an exercise ground. The space is surrounded by columns, with the bright blue sky visible above. A group of young men are wrestling in one corner, their oiled bodies glistening in the sunlight as they grapple. Others are playing a ball game, tossing a leather sphere back and forth, arguing good-naturedly about the score. In another area, men lift weights fashioned from stone or lead. You join a ball game already in progress, welcomed by the other players. The exercise is pleasant, warming your muscles, increasing your heart rate. The ball flies back and forth, and you jump to catch it, throw it onward, dodge when it comes too fast. Conversation flows easily. Titus Marius, a grain merchant, complains about the quality of this year's Egyptian wheat. Servius, a fuller like Gaius Sextius, whom you spoke with at the forum, makes a crude joke about one of the prostitutes at the Lupanare that has everyone laughing. Politics comes up again. Everyone has an opinion about who should be elected aedile. After sufficient exercise, you are sweating freely, your skin flushed and warm. You make your way back inside into the sequence of bathing rooms that form the heart of the complex. The first room is the tepidarium, the warm room. The temperature here is pleasant, noticeably warmer than the changing room, but not uncomfortable. Bronze braziers provide heat, but the real innovation is beneath your feet. The floor is suspended on small columns, creating a hollow space underneath, where hot air from furnaces circulates. This hypocauste system heats the floor and, through clay pipes in the walls, the entire room. You pour oil from your flask onto your skin, rubbing it over your arms, chest, legs. The oil will mix with sweat and dirt, which you will then scrape away with the strigil. The scraping is a pleasant sensation, the metal edge of the strigil removing not just oil but dead skin, leaving you feeling cleaner than water alone could achieve. Other bathers are doing the same, the room filled with the sound of conversation and the scraping of strigils on skin. You discuss business with a man named Lucius who deals in pottery and amphorae. He mentions that he is looking for a reliable supplier of garum to fill some of his vessels for export. You see an opportunity, suggest that your own family's garum might suit his needs. He looks interested, asks about quantities and prices. You make a mental note to follow up with him in a few days. The baths are excellent for business, for making connections in a relaxed atmosphere where rank matters less and commerce flows naturally. From the tepidarium, you move to the caldarium, the hot room. The heat here is intense, almost overwhelming. Steam hangs thick in the air, and you can barely see across the room. The hypocauste system under the floor makes the tiles almost too hot to stand on comfortably. Against one wall is the alveus, a large basin of very hot water. You ease yourself into it, the heat shocking at first, then becoming bearable as your body adjusts. The water is almost scalding, heated by the same system that warms the floor. You can feel your pores opening, sweat pouring from every part of your body. The heat is purifying, cleansing not just your skin but something deeper. Other men sit in the hot bath with you, some silent and meditative, others still conversing despite the difficulty of breathing in the humid heat. Someone makes a joke about politicians being full of hot air, which gets a tired laugh. The caldarium is where pretense melts away, along with the sweat. After as much heat as you can stand, you rise from the bath and make your way to the labrum, a large bronze basin filled with cold water. You splash the cold water over your head and body, the shock of it after the intense heat making you gasp. The contrast is invigorating, your blood pumping, your skin tingling. You feel more alive, more awake than you did when you entered. The final stage is the frigidarium, the cold room. Here, a pool of genuinely cold water awaits. The room is cooler than the others, offering relief from the heat. You descend the steps into the pool, the cold water rising to your chest. The shock is intense but glorious after the caldarium's heat. You swim a few strokes across the small pool, feeling your muscles tense and then relax, your breathing deep and regular. The bottom of the pool is decorated with a mosaic showing fish and sea creatures, their colours vivid through the clear water. Other bathers are in the frigidarium, some swimming, others simply standing and enjoying the cold. You recognise Decimus Satrius, a man who serves on the city council, one of the decuriones who help run Pompeii's government. He nods to you, and you exchange pleasantries about the weather, the upcoming games, the state of trade. Even in the cold pool, business and politics find a way into the conversation. After sufficient time in the cold water, you emerge, your skin tingling, your body feeling thoroughly cleansed and refreshed. You return to the apoditerium, where Darvus waits with your clothing. You dry yourself with a cloth, dress in your tunic, and carefully arrange your toga with Darvus's help. You feel like a new man, clean and energized, ready for the rest of the day. As you're preparing to leave, you encounter Marcus Lucretius again, your patron, who is just arriving at the baths. He greets you warmly, asks if the water was good today. You assure him it was excellent. He mentions again that he looks forward to seeing you tonight, and promises that the wine will be of the finest quality. You thank him and express your anticipation. The social dance continues, the bonds between patron and client maintained through countless small interactions like this one. Leaving the Stabian baths, you step back into the brilliant afternoon sunlight. The heat hits you immediately after the cool of the frigidarium, but you feel refreshed rather than oppressed by it. You are clean, socially connected, having conducted business while bathing, having reinforced relationships that matter. The baths have served their purpose perfectly, as they do every day for thousands of Pompeians. You check the position of the sun. It is past midday now, moving into the afternoon. You still need to visit your family's garum workshop on the western edge of the city to check on production. The walk will take you through different quarters of Pompeii, past the working class insulae and industrial areas where the real labour of the city happens, where slaves and freedmen produce the goods that make merchants like you prosperous. But first you decide to stop at a thermopolium for a quick meal. The exercise and the heat have made you hungry, and it would not do to arrive at Marcus Lucretius's house this evening with an empty stomach only to gorge yourself on his food. You find a thermopolium on a corner near the baths, a small shop with its counter open to the street. Set into the marble counter are large clay dolia, vessels holding hot food kept warm over a charcoal fire. The proprietor, a freedman judging by his bearing, describes what is available. There is a bean stew with pork, vegetables in garum sauce, bread still warm from a nearby bakery. You order the stew and bread, and he ladles a generous portion into a clay bowl. The smell is savoury and rich. You eat standing at the counter, the custom at such establishments. The stew is filling and flavourful, the garum adding its characteristic salty depth. The bread is dense and filling. Other customers come and go, slaves buying food for their masters, workmen grabbing a quick meal, sailors from the port looking for something cheap and substantial. Your meal finished, you wipe your hands on a cloth provided by the proprietor, pay him a few bronze coins, and continue on your way. The afternoon sun is fierce now, the heat at its peak. Most sensible people are indoors during these hours, resting in the shade, waiting for the worst of the heat to pass. But you have business to attend to, and the workshop will not inspect itself. You make your way westward through the city, passing from the more prosperous central districts into areas where the buildings are more tightly packed, where the insula rise 3 or 4 stories, where the streets are narrower and the smell stronger. This is where the workers live, the people whose labour supports Pompeii's economy. Slaves and freedmen, craftsmen and labourers, all crowded together in conditions far more cramped than your own comfortable domus. You pass a fullery where cloth is being processed in large vats. The smell of urine is overwhelming, the ammonia used to clean wool powerful and pungent. Slaves work the cloth with their feet, treading it in the vats, their legs stained with the dye that is part of the process. Other workers rinse cloth in fresh water, stretch it on frames to dry. The fuller's trade is essential but not pleasant, and you are grateful that your own business deals with garum rather than cloth. Beyond the fullers, you see a dye workshop where bright colours are being applied to fabrics, reds and purples and yellows, the dyes made from various sources, insects, plants, shellfish. The workers' hands are stained with colour. The air smells of chemicals and heat. These workshops are the engine of Pompeii's prosperity, producing goods for local use and export, employing hundreds of people, generating the wealth that circulates through the city. You pass the Lupanara, Pompeii's most famous brothel, a small stone building marked by erotic frescoes, above the doorway showing the services available within. The building is open for business, even in the afternoon heat, and you see a sailor entering, no doubt just arrived in port and looking for entertainment. The prostitutes are mostly slaves, housed in small cells, barely large enough for a bed. The walls inside, you have heard, are covered with graffiti left by clients boasting of their exploits or rating the services. Romans view sex differently than many other cultures, less shamefully, more practically. Prostitution is legal and open, a business like any other. You do not enter, having no need of such services, but you do not judge those who do. The streets here are rougher than in the central city. The paving stones are more worn, the stepping stones more crude. Garbage accumulates in corners, though public slaves are supposed to keep the streets clean. Graffiti covers every available surface, some political, much of it obscene or merely crude declarations of love or hate. You step carefully, avoiding the worst of the refuse, keeping your toga from dragging in anything unpleasant. Finally, you reach the city walls and the Porta Ercolano, one of the gates leading out of Pompeii toward the neighbouring city of Herculaneum. Just outside the walls, in the area where noxious industries are relegated, you find your family's garum workshop. The smell announces it before you can see it. That powerful, pungent, salty aroma of fermenting fish. The workshop is a workshop of buildings and open yards where large ceramic dolia, vessels taller than a man, are arranged in rows. These dolia contain the garum at various stages of fermentation. The process is simple, but requires patience and skill. Small fish, usually anchovies or mackerel, are layered with salt and herbs, then left to ferment for months in sealed containers. The sun and heat accelerate the process. Gradually, the fish break down, their flesh dissolving into a rich, salty liquid. This liquid, when strained and bottled, is garum, the sauce that flavours every Roman dish, that is worth more than wine, that makes your family prosperous. You are greeted by Felix, a freedman who manages the workshop for you. He has been with your family for 20 years, first as a slave, then freed for loyal service, now employed at a generous wage. Felix knows the garum business better than you do, and you trust his judgment. He walks you through the current production, showing you the dolia that are ready for bottling, others that need more time, still others that were just started last month and will not be ready until winter. The quality of garum varies enormously. The finest quality, made from the best fish with perfect proportions of salt and thyme, sells for extraordinary prices, consumed by wealthy households across the empire. Lesser qualities are sold more cheaply, used by common people for everyday cooking. Your family's reputation rests on producing the former, the luxury product that commands premium prices. Felix shows you a sample from a batch that is ready, pouring a small amount into a cup. You taste it, letting the liquid coat your tongue. The flavour is intensely savoury, salty, and rich with a depth that is hard to describe, the essence of the sea concentrated into liquid form. You nod approval. This batch is excellent. You discuss logistics with Felix. The shipment to Quintus Britius in Neapolis must be prepared. 10 amphorae of the finest quality, sealed with pitch, marked with your family's seal. Felix assures you it will be ready in 3 days, in plenty of time for the shipment. You also discuss another matter. One of the slaves in the workshop has been stealing, taking small amounts of garum for his own use, or to sell. Felix has caught him and seeks your judgment on punishment. You consider, theft is serious, but the slave is young, and this is his first offence. You decide on a flogging rather than branding or worse punishment. The slave must learn, but you do not wish to damage a valuable piece of property permanently. Business at the workshop concluded, you prepare to return to the city. The afternoon is waning now, the sun beginning its descent toward the Bay of Naples. In a few hours you will need to return home, wash again, change into fresh clothes for the dinner party at Marcus Lucretius's house. But for now, you have a little time, and you decide to walk back through the city at a leisurely pace to see Pompeii in the golden light of late afternoon. As you walk, you pass the amphitheatre again, that enormous oval structure just outside the walls. It can hold every person in Pompeii, all 20,000, and often does when major games are held. The amphitheatre was the site of the famous riot in 59 AD, when Pompeians and visitors from Nuceria fought in the stands, when people died, when the Emperor Nero himself banned games here for 10 years. The ban has ended now, and games have resumed. The day after tomorrow, you will be here, watching gladiators fight, seeing exotic animals from Africa, feeling the roar of the crowd. You have good tickets, seats in the section reserved for citizens of your class. You are looking forward to it immensely. The future stretches before you, full of plans and possibilities. Tomorrow, you will finalize the details for the shipment to Neapolis. The day after, the games. Next week, more business meetings, more opportunities to expand trade. Your son is growing, learning, preparing for the day when he will take over the family business. Your daughter will make a good marriage to someone of appropriate status, cementing family alliances. The city thrives around you, and you are part of its success. You make your way back toward your house, on the Via dell'Abbondanza, passing through streets now familiar and beloved. The day has been good. Business has been profitable. Social connections have been maintained and strengthened. Tonight there will be good food, good wine, good conversation. This is what life is supposed to be. What you have worked for, what your father worked for before you. The sun paints the city golden as it lowers. Shadows lengthen across the paving stones. Mount Vesuvius, visible in the distance, glows in the afternoon light. Its slopes still green with cultivation, peaceful and eternal as always. Tomorrow, the sun will rise again, and you will continue building your fortune, securing your family's future, living the good life in this prosperous corner of the empire. Everything is as it should be. Everything is as it always has been. You walk toward home, toward family, toward the evening's pleasures, with no premonition of the mountain's fury, no sense of the catastrophe that approaches. How could you know? The mountain has always been there. It has always been silent. It has always slept. You are simply living your life in the city you love on a beautiful afternoon in August in the year 79, on the last normal day Pompeii will ever see. You arrive home in the early evening as the heat of the day begins to ease and the shadows grow longer across the Via dell'Abbondanza. Entering through the front door into your atrium, you find the household in its familiar evening rhythm. Your wife is supervising the slaves as they prepare the evening meal. Your children have finished their studies for the day and are playing a game with knucklebones in the peristyle garden. The sound of their laughter echoes pleasantly through the house. You call for water and for your slaves to prepare a fresh tunic. Tonight you will dine with Marcus Lucretius, and you must present yourself properly. A slave brings a basin of water, and you wash your face, hands and feet, removing the dust of the day's walking. The water feels cool and refreshing. Another slave helps you change from your day tunic into a fresh one, clean white linen that will be appropriate for the dinner party. Your wife approaches, asks about the day's business. You tell her about the successful negotiation with Quintus Britius, about the inspection of the garum workshop, about the various conversations at the forum and baths. She nods, pleased that business is going well. She mentions that she has purchased a new bracelet from a Syrian trader who is selling jewellery in the market. You assure her that the expense is acceptable, that the family can afford such luxuries. Her contentment is important to you. You spend a few moments with your children, asking about their day's lessons. Your son recites a passage from Homer in Greek, stumbling only slightly over the complicated meters. You praise his effort and remind him to practice more. Your daughter shows you a piece of weaving she has begun under her mother's instruction. The threads are still uneven, but she's learning. You ruffle her hair affectionately and tell her she's becoming skilled. As the sun lowers toward the horizon, you prepare to leave for Marcus Lucretius's house. You will walk there, accompanied by a slave carrying an amphora of wine as your gift to the host. The wine is Falernian, from the famous vineyards north of Pompeii, expensive and prestigious. It is the sort of gift that reflects well on the giver without being so extravagant as to seem like you're trying to outdo your patron. Your toga is brought out again, and Davis helps you arrange it properly. The garment is heavy and formal, but dinner with a patron requires formality. You check your appearance. In a bronze mirror, seeing your reflection distorted but recognizable. You are clean, properly dressed, bearing an appropriate gift. You are ready. The walk to Marcus Lucretius's house takes you through the cooling streets of Pompeii. The worst of the day's heat has passed, and the evening air is pleasant. The slave walks behind you, the heavy amphora balanced on his shoulder. You pass neighbours taking their own evening strolls, slaves hurrying on last errands, shops beginning to close for the night. The city is transitioning from day to night, from the bustle of commerce to the quieter pleasures of evening. Marcus Lucretius's house is in one of the better neighbourhoods, not far from the Forum. It is larger than yours, befitting a man of his status. The entrance is marked by a beautiful mosaic set into the floor of the vestibule, showing a chained dog with the words "Cave Canem," beware of the dog. You smile at the traditional warning, which serves more as decoration than genuine. Caution! The door slave admits you, and you enter the atrium. The space is magnificent. The impluvium is larger than yours, lined with marble rather than simple tile. The walls are covered in elaborate frescoes showing mythological scenes: Jupiter and Ganymede, Leda and the Swan, the Judgment of Paris. The paintings are skillfully done, probably by one of the workshops that specializes in such decoration. Everything speaks of wealth and taste, of a family that has been prominent in Pompeii for generations. Marcus Lucretius himself appears, dressed in an immaculate toga, his bearing gracious and welcoming. You present him with the wine, and he accepts it with genuine pleasure, calling a slave to take it to be opened and served during the meal. He introduces you to the other guests, who are already present. You recognize most of them, men of business like yourself, all clients of Marcus in various capacities. There is Aulus, who deals in ceramics, Gaius, a vintner with extensive holdings on Vesuvius's slopes, Lucius, the pottery merchant you spoke with at the baths, others whose faces are familiar from the Forum and the streets of Pompeii. Marcus leads the group toward the triclinium, the dining room. It is a beautiful chamber opening onto the garden peristyle. 3 couches are arranged in a U-shape around a low central table. The couches are upholstered in fine fabric and piled with cushions. This is the Roman way of dining, adopted from the Greeks, reclining rather than sitting. The arrangement allows for conversation, for the easy circulation of food and wine, for the display of fine tableware and decorations. The 9 diners arrange themselves on the couches according to a subtle hierarchy. Marcus, as host, takes the place of honour on the central couch. You are placed in a respectable position, neither the highest nor the lowest, reflecting your status as an established but not leading member of his circle of clients. The positioning matters, though no one speaks of it directly. Everyone understands where they stand. Slaves circulate, washing the guests' hands with perfumed water. You recline on your left elbow, as is proper, leaving your right hand free for eating. The Romans do not use forks or knives at table, Food is eaten with the hands or scooped with bread, or consumed with spoons for dishes that are too liquid to be managed otherwise. Oil lamps around the room provide light as the natural daylight fades. The garden beyond the triclinium is beautiful in the twilight, its plants and small fountain creating a peaceful backdrop. The meal begins with the gustatio, the appetizers. Slaves bring platters of eggs, boiled and seasoned with garum and vinegar, olives both green and black. Lettuce leaves, dressed with oil and garum, small pieces of cheese. Wine is served, mixed with water in the proper proportion. Drinking wine unmixed is considered barbaric, something only the uncivilized would do. The wine is excellent, smooth and rich, probably from the Falernian amphora you brought, or one equally fine from Marcus's own cellars. Conversation flows easily. The topics are light to start. The weather, the upcoming games, mutual acquaintances. Marcus mentions that he heard about your successful negotiation with Quintus Britius and praises your business acumen. You modestly accept the compliment while internally glowing with pride. Gaius the vintner talks about this year's harvest on the slopes of Vesuvius. The vines are heavy with grapes and the wine promises to be exceptional. Someone mentions the earthquake of 62 AD, how the city has rebuilt, how Pompeii is more beautiful now than before. There is agreement around the couches. Pompeii has proven its resilience. The prima mensa, the main course, arrives on large platters. There is roasted pork seasoned with herbs and garum, fish from the bay served in a complex sauce, vegetables cooked in oil, bread for soaking up the rich liquids. The food is abundant and excellently prepared. You eat with your hands, tearing pieces of meat, dipping bread in sauce, savouring the flavours. Everything is enhanced by garum, that ubiquitous sauce that appears at every Roman table. You note with professional pride that Marcus's garum, while good, is not quite as fine as what your own workshops produce. More wine flows, and the conversation becomes more animated. Political topics emerge. Who will be elected aedile? What about the position of Doumvir that will be contested next year? Marcus has opinions and his clients listen carefully. Supporting the right candidates is important, and his guidance carries weight. The discussion turns to Emperor Titus. Someone voices cautious optimism about the new emperor. Marcus agrees but notes that Titus is untested, that his reign could go in many directions. The recent death of Vespasian is still fresh, and the transition of power is always a delicate time. Business comes up inevitably. Aulus the ceramics dealer mentions that he has heard of new markets opening in Gaul. Lucius talks about a shipment of fine pottery he is sending to Rome. You describe your upcoming delivery to Neapolis and mention that you are always looking for reliable carriers for more distant markets. Networks are being maintained and expanded, introductions promised, possibilities discussed. This is one of the great values of such dinners, the exchange of information and opportunity in an atmosphere of trust and mutual benefit. The secunda mensa, the dessert course, appears. There are honey cakes, sweet and rich, fresh figs from local trees, grapes from the vineyards on Vesuvius, dates imported from distant provinces, nuts of various kinds. The wine served now is sweeter, less watered, appropriate for the end of the meal. The conversation becomes looser, louder. Some of the guests are quite drunk, though Marcus himself remains controlled, as a good host should. Entertainment is provided. One of Marcus's household, Slaves, a young man with a good voice, recites poetry. He performs a passage from Homer's Odyssey in Greek, the language of culture and sophistication. His delivery is excellent, his accent refined. The guests listen with appreciation, though you suspect not all of them understand the Greek as well as they pretend. After the poetry, there is music, a slave girl playing a flute while another keeps rhythm on a small drum. The melodies are simple and pleasant, traditional tunes that everyone knows. The conversation turns to the upcoming games at the amphitheatre. Nearly everyone at the table has tickets. There is discussion of which gladiators are fighting, speculation about the matchups, talk of bets being placed. Gaius mentions that he heard one of the bestiarii, the beast fighters, will face a lion brought from Africa. The prospect excites the table. Lions are rare and dangerous, and seeing one in combat is a privilege. You mention that you have seats in the citizen section and are looking forward to the spectacle immensely. Someone brings up the small earth tremors that have been felt recently. Pompeii sits in an area prone to such disturbances, especially since the great earthquake 17 years ago. The mountain settles sometimes, people say. The tremors are nothing to worry about. They have been happening for years without incident. Marcus makes a joke about the gods having indigestion, and everyone laughs. The tremors are a fact of life in Pompeii, no more concerning than rain or wind. The evening grows late. The meal has lasted for hours, as proper Roman dinners do. The conversation has covered all the expected topics: politics, business, literature, current events, gossip. Bonds have been strengthened. Information has been exchanged. You have fulfilled your obligations as a client, attending when invited, participating appropriately, showing proper deference, while also demonstrating your own competence and value. Marcus has been the perfect host, generous with food and wine, attentive to his guests, guiding conversation without dominating it. Finally, it is time to depart. You thank Marcus profusely for his hospitality, for the excellent meal, for the pleasure of his company. He places a hand on your shoulder, a gesture of warmth and approval. He mentions that he'll send you that letter of introduction to the trader in Ostia that he had promised. You express deep gratitude. Such a letter could open significant new opportunities. He tells you to think nothing of it, that it pleases him to help a client who's doing so well. You leave Marcus's house and step out into the night. Pompeii's streets are mostly dark now, lit only by the occasional oil lamp at a shrine, or the glow from windows where households are still awake. Darvus walks ahead of you, carrying an oil lamp to light the way. The streets are largely empty. Most people are home. The shops are closed. The city has settled into its nightly quiet. You walk slowly, pleasantly full of food and wine, feeling the satisfaction of a day well spent. The business meeting this morning was successful. The visit to the baths was refreshing. The dinner party was a triumph, strengthening your position in Marcus's network of clients. Tomorrow, you will finalize details for the shipment to Neapolis. The day after tomorrow, the games. Next week brings more opportunities, more chances to build wealth and status. The stars are brilliant above you, undimmed by any lights in the streets. You can make out the familiar constellations, the ones you learned as a child, the ones that sailors used to navigate. The night air is warm but pleasant after the heat of the day. In the distance, you can hear a dog barking, the sound echoing through the empty streets. Somewhere, a drunk is singing, his voice off-key but cheerful. You reach your house and enter quietly. The household is already asleep. You find your way to the lirarium by the light of Darvus's lamp and pour a small offering of wine, thanking the household gods for the day's blessings. Then you make your way to your cubiculum, where your wife is already sleeping. You undress quietly, folding your toga carefully, and lie down on the bed. The day has been good. Business is prosperous. Your family is healthy. Your position in society is secure and improving. The future is bright with possibility. Tomorrow the sun will rise, and life will continue its pleasant patterns. You have plans, ambitions, years of life still ahead of you. In 2 days, you will watch the games. Next month, you will vote in the elections. Next year, who knows what opportunities will arise. You close your eyes, feeling sleep begin to claim you. Through the window, if you were to look, you could see Mount Vesuvius silhouetted against the stars, a dark shape against the night sky. But you do not look. The mountain has always been there. It will always be there. It is as permanent as the city itself, as eternal as the empire, as unchanging as the stars above. The mountain sleeps, you sleep, Pompeii sleeps. 20,000 people in their homes, in their beds, unaware that this night is the last peaceful night the city will ever know. Tomorrow, everything changes, but you do not know that. You cannot know that. You're simply a merchant, lying in your bed, drifting into sleep after a good day, planning for a tomorrow that will never come. The night passes peacefully. Pompeii rests beneath the stars, quiet except for the occasional sounds that mark any city at night. A dog barking, footsteps of a night watchman making his rounds, the distant crash of a chamber pot being emptied into the street. In your cubiculum you sleep deeply, the wine from dinner and the exhaustion of a full day pulling you into dreamless slumber. The household gods watch from their painted shrine in the atrium. The fountain in the peristyle trickles softly. Your wife breathes steadily beside you. In their rooms, your children sleep the untroubled sleep of youth. The slaves rest in their quarters, tomorrow's work already waiting for them. Everything is as it should be, as it has been for countless nights before, as you assume it will be for countless nights to come. Mount Vesuvius looms in the darkness, invisible against the night sky, but present nonetheless. Its slopes dark beneath the stars. Deep within the mountain, beneath layers of rock and earth, pressures are building that have been accumulating for over 1,000 years. Magma rises through channels in the Earth's crust. Gases concentrate. The mountain's interior is a furnace that has been sealed for centuries, but the seal is weakening. Fractures are spreading. The mountain is waking. But you know nothing of this. No one in Pompeii knows. The science of volcanoes does not exist yet. The word volcano itself will not be coined for many centuries. The Romans know that Vesuvius is a mountain, that its slopes are fertile, that excellent wine comes from its vineyards. Some ancient texts mention fire and smoke from the mountain in the distant past, but these are legends, stories from a time before memory. The mountain you know is peaceful, generous with its rich soil, beautiful in the morning light. It is part of the landscape, as permanent as the sea, as eternal as Rome itself. The night deepens. The stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns. The city sleeps on, unaware. These are the last hours of peace, the final moments of the ordinary. By the time the sun rises on August 24th, it will be too late to preserve this world. But for now, in the darkness, Pompeii exists as it has for generations, vital and alive, full of people with plans and dreams and futures. Dawn comes to Pompeii on August 24th, 79 AD, much like any other dawn. The sky lightens, roosters crow, the city begins to stir. You wake, dress, perform your morning prayers at the lararium. You eat bread dipped in wine, discuss the day's plans with your wife. Your children appear, ready for their lessons. Slaves begin their tasks. Life proceeds in its familiar rhythms. The morning is beautiful. The sky is clear and blue. The air is already warm, with the promise of another hot August day. You have business to attend to at the Forum, details to finalise for the shipment to Neapolis. Tomorrow you will attend the Games. Next week brings more opportunities. The future stretches before you, full of possibilities. But as morning advances toward midday, as the city goes about its business, as merchants trade and lawyers argue, and slaves labour, deep within Mount Vesuvius something gives way. The pressures that have been building for centuries finally overcome the rock that contains them. The mountain so long dormant awakens. Around the 8th hour of the day, roughly 1 o'clock in the afternoon by our reckoning, Vesuvius erupts. The sound is beyond anything you have ever heard. It is not like thunder, though there is something of thunder in it. It is deeper, more primal, a roar that seems to come from the earth itself. You are in the Forum, concluding business, when the noise hits. Everyone stops. Conversations cease mid-sentence. All eyes turn toward the mountain. What you see defies comprehension. A column of darkness is rising from Vesuvius, shooting upward into the sky with unimaginable force. It climbs higher and higher, thousands of feet into the air, spreading as it rises until it looks like a gigantic tree, a pine tree made of ash and rock and smoke. The column is black at its base, lighter toward the top, where the sun catches the ash particles. It towers over the landscape, blotting out part of the sky, growing larger with each passing second. Panic erupts in the forum. People are screaming, running. The noise from the mountain continues, a sustained roar that shakes the air itself. You think of your family. You must get home, must reach your wife and children. You abandon your business and run, joining the crowds fleeing through the streets. The column of ash continues to rise, and now you can see material beginning to fall from it. At first it is light and scattered, small particles of ash drifting down like grey snow, but quickly it becomes heavier. Pumice stones, light and porous, begin to rain from the sky. They are small at first, the size of gravel, but they're falling faster and faster, and you can hear them hitting the roof tiles, bouncing off the paving stones, striking people who have not found shelter. You reach your house on the Via dell'Abbondanza, bursting through the door. Your wife and children are in the atrium, terrified, the children crying. The slaves huddle nearby. Through the compluvium you can see pumice falling into the impluvium, beginning to accumulate. The noise from the mountain is continuous now, and the sky is growing dark as ash blocks the sun. You must decide. Do you flee the city, trying to escape to somewhere safer? Or do you shelter in the house waiting for the eruption to end? The roofs are strong, built to withstand rain and wind. Surely they can protect you. Many of your neighbours are staying, bringing their valuables inside, blocking doors and windows against the falling pumice. But others are fleeing, loading carts with possessions, heading toward the city gates. You choose to stay. The house seems safe, the walls are solid. Leaving means abandoning your home, your possessions, everything you have built. The eruption will end soon, you tell yourself. These things do not last. You direct the slaves to bring water, food, anything that might be needed if you must shelter for a time. You gather your family in the strongest part of the house, away from the compluvium where pumice is accumulating. Hours pass. The pumice continues to fall, heavier and heavier. The layer in the atrium grows deeper. You can hear the weight of it on the roof, a constant patter like rain but heavier, more ominous. The sky outside is completely dark now, black as night though it is afternoon. The only light comes from oil lamps, and even these flicker strangely in the ash-filled air. The roar from the mountain continues without pause. The earth shakes periodically, tremors stronger than the small earthquakes Pompeii has grown used to. Your children are terrified. Your wife holds them, trying to comfort them, but she is frightened too. You can see it in her eyes. You try to project confidence, to assure them that the house will protect you, that this will pass. But privately, you're beginning to doubt. The eruption is not ending. It is growing worse. The pumice accumulation becomes dangerous. The weight on the roof is immense now. Several feet of light but voluminous stone pressing down on the tiles. You hear a crash from somewhere in the city, then another. Roofs are beginning to collapse under the weight. Your own roof is groaning. You must move. You gather your family and flee from the atrium toward rooms. Deeper in the house, rooms with stronger roofs, less exposed to the accumulating pumice. Night falls, though you can barely tell the difference since the sky has been black for hours. The pumice continues to fall through the darkness. The mountain's roar is unceasing. The city is being buried. You huddle with your family in the deepest room of your house, your cubiculum, holding them, whispering prayers to gods who seem to have abandoned Pompeii. The children eventually cry themselves to exhaustion and fall into fitful sleep. Your wife grips your hand. You can feel her trembling, And then around midnight, something changes. The pumice that has been falling steadily begins to be mixed with hot ash. The temperature rises. The air becomes difficult to breathe, thick with sulphurous fumes. You and your family tie cloths over your noses and mouths, trying to filter the air, but it is not enough. Your eyes water. Your lungs burn. The children wake, coughing, gasping. At approximately 6 o'clock on the morning of August 25th, a surge of superheated gas and ash, a pyroclastic flow, races down from Vesuvius at speeds over 100 miles per hour. The temperature is over 400 degrees Celsius. It sweeps over Pompeii in seconds, an avalanche of death moving faster than any human can run. The heat is so intense that it kills instantly. Anyone still in the city, anyone who sheltered in their homes or tried to flee too late, dies in moments. The surge fills the streets, pours into buildings through doors and windows, engulfs everything in its path. You die with your family in your arms. There is no time for last thoughts, no final prayers. The heat sears your lungs, stops your heart. Your bodies fall where you stand, preserved in the positions of your final moments. Your wife shielding the children, you trying to protect them all. A family frozen in time, in ash, in the instant of catastrophe. The surges continue through the morning of August 25th. 6 major flows race down from Vesuvius, each one burying the city deeper under volcanic material. Pompeii disappears beneath 6 meters of ash and pumice. The buildings that survived the pumice fall are now entombed. The city that was vibrant with life less than 24 hours ago is silent, buried, gone. The eruption lasted 18 hours. When it finally ended, Pompeii no longer existed as a living city. Most of the population had fled, perhaps 18,000 of the 20,000 residents escaping before the deadly pyroclastic surges. But 2,000 remained, and all of them died. Some suffocated from the ash and fumes. Others were killed by collapsing buildings. Most died in the surges, their bodies left in the positions of their final moments. Across the Bay of Naples, a young man named Pliny the Younger watched the eruption from the relative safety of Misenum. He saw the column of ash rise into the sky, saw the darkness spread, witnessed the terror of those trying to flee. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, a famous scholar and commander of the Roman fleet, attempted a rescue mission and died in the attempt, overcome by fumes near the shore. 25 years later, the younger Pliny would write 2 letters to the historian Tacitus describing what he had witnessed. These letters are the only eyewitness account of the eruption to survive, a description of the day the mountain destroyed Pompeii. The ash and pumice that buried the city created a perfect seal. Without oxygen, organic materials could not decay normally. Wood, cloth, food, even the bodies of the dead were preserved in the hardened volcanic material. The flesh of the bodies eventually decomposed, but they left hollow spaces in the ash, exact molds of people in their final moments. These voids would wait almost 2,000 years before anyone would know to fill them with plaster and reveal the Pompeians as they were at the instant of death. Pompeii was not forgotten immediately. Ancient sources mention the eruption and the destruction of cities near Vesuvius. But as decades became centuries, as the region recovered and new cities were built, the exact location of Pompeii was lost. The buried city lay beneath farmland and vineyards. Occasionally, farmers digging wells or foundations would strike ancient walls, find coins or pottery, but they did not understand the significance. Pompeii became a legend, a city mentioned in old texts but with no known location. In 1599, workers digging a canal struck ancient ruins. They had found Pompeii, though they did not realize it at the time. Some artifacts were recovered, but no systematic excavation was attempted. The site was forgotten again. In 1748, serious exploration finally began, sponsored by Charles VII of Naples. The early excavations were little better than treasure hunting, concerned more with recovering valuable objects than with understanding the site. But gradually, over decades and then centuries, more careful work began. The 19th century brought more systematic archaeology. Excavators began to understand what they had found, not just ancient ruins, but an entire Roman city preserved at a single moment in time. Everything was still there. The houses with their furniture, the shops with their goods, the streets with their stepping stones and graffiti, the amphitheatre where games were held, the forum where business was conducted, the baths where Romans had gathered. In the 1860s, an archaeologist named Giuseppe Fiorelli revolutionised the excavation. He realised that the hollow spaces in the ash were human-shaped. He developed a technique of carefully pouring plaster into these voids, creating casts that showed the Pompeians exactly as they were when they died. The technique revealed entire families huddled together, people trying to shelter their children, individuals caught in the act of fleeing. The casts were haunting and immediate, bringing the ancient dead to life in a way that no other archaeological site had ever achieved. The excavations continued through the 20th century and into the 21st. Only about 2/3 of Pompeii has been uncovered. The rest remains buried, deliberately left unexcavated to preserve it for future generations with better preservation techniques. What has been revealed is extraordinary, a complete picture of Roman daily life, preserved in ash and pumice, waiting almost 2,000 years to tell its story. The graffiti on the walls still speaks. Political slogans urge support for candidates in elections that never happened. Love notes proclaim passion for people who have been dead for 2 millennia. Insults and crude jokes, names and dates, prices and advertisements, all frozen in time. In the bakery on the Via dell'Abbondanza, carbonized loaves of bread still sit in the oven where they were baking when the eruption began. In the Thermopolia, the food shops, the remains of the last meals served are still visible in the serving vessels. In homes throughout the city, the ordinary objects of daily life wait: oil lamps and cooking pots, children's toys and writing tablets, jewellery and tools and coins. The preserved city tells 1,000 stories. The gladiator barracks reveal the lives of the fighters who entertained the crowds. The lupanar, the brothel, still shows its erotic frescoes and the graffiti left by clients. The wealthy villas on the outskirts display magnificent frescoes and mosaics that remain vivid in colour after 2,000 years. The forum stands empty but intact, its columns still bearing the marks of election posters. The baths, with their hypercost systems and elaborate decoration, show the Roman genius for engineering and comfort. Pompeii has become the most famous archaeological site in the world. Millions visit each year, walking the ancient streets, entering the Roman houses, imagining the life that filled these spaces before the mountain erupted. The city provides the most complete picture we have of daily life in ancient Rome. Not the life of emperors and senators, which is well documented in texts and monuments, but the life of ordinary people, merchants and craftsmen, slaves and freedmen, children and families, all going about the business of living in a prosperous provincial city. The tragedy of Pompeii speaks across the centuries. It reminds us that catastrophe can strike without warning, that the ordinary can become extraordinary in an instant, that any day might be our last. The people of Pompeii had plans, ambitions, futures. They were conducting business, making deals, raising families, building wealth, and then in less than a day, everything ended. The city they loved became their tomb, but also their monument, preserving them for future generations to discover and remember. Mount Vesuvius still looms over the Bay of Naples. The mountain that destroyed Pompeii remains an active volcano, It has erupted many times since 79 AD, most recently. In 1944, today, more than 3 million people live in the shadow of Vesuvius, in Naples and the surrounding towns, on slopes that proved so deadly 2,000 years ago. The mountain is closely monitored now, with seismographs and gas sensors and evacuation plans. But it is still a volcano, still capable of erupting, still dangerous. The past is not as distant as we might wish. When you visit Pompeii today, you can walk the same streets that our merchant walked on August 23rd, 79 AD. You can see the forum where he conducted business, past the thermopolium where he might have bought a meal, stand in the baths where he cleansed himself and met his friends. You can look at the graffiti he might have read, walk through houses like the one where he lived, see the amphitheatre where he held tickets for games that never happened. The city is still there, waiting, silent beneath the Italian sun, a place where time stopped and then restarted centuries later for us to witness. The ordinary day we have lived through, that August 23rd of market visits and bath conversations and dinner parties, was the last normal day Pompeii ever saw. By the next afternoon, everything had changed. The city was dying. By the following morning, it was dead. But because it died so completely, so suddenly, it was also preserved more perfectly than any other ancient city. Pompeii is a gift from catastrophe, a window into the past opened by tragedy. And so our day in Pompeii comes to an end. You have lived as a Roman, walked ancient streets, tasted ancient wine, felt the heat of the bathhouse steam. You have experienced the last normal day in a city that would become the most famous ruin in the world. You have lived those final hours of ordinary life before the mountain spoke, and everything changed. The stones of Pompeii still wait in the Italian sunshine. The frescoes still show their brilliant colours on villa walls. The plaster casts still hold the shapes of people who died 2,000 years ago, families frozen together, individuals caught in flight, a city and its inhabitants preserved in ash. They wait for visitors to walk their streets, to wonder at their lives, to remember that they were real people with real lives that ended in a single terrible day. Thank you for walking these streets with me, for living this day that happened 2,000 years ago. The ruins of Pompeii still speak to those who visit, still tell their story of life and death, of the ordinary and the catastrophic, of a city that was buried by a mountain and preserved for eternity. Until our next journey into the past, I wish you a calm and peaceful night.